It seems that the historical concept of the helicopter was doomed with failure from the beginning. In fact, it took several decades to not only get a helicopter to fly, but allow the pilot to control it. Hard to believe when you look at the flying machines that we have today. These amazing helicopters use state-of-the-art technology, and they've become so useful and powerful that it's hard to imagine any Air Force without them. From powerful civilian luxury helicopters to feared military machines. Check out these amazing helicopters. First helicopter, de Bauthazat helicopter. Looking just as strange as its name sounds, the Jerome de Bauthazat Flying Octopus was an experimental quadrotor helicopter built for the United States Army Service in the early 1920s and was said to be the world's very first successful helicopter. The craft had 4 massive 6-bladed rotors that allowed it to successfully fly, but it suffered from complexity, control difficulties, high pilot workload, and it was only able to fly forward in flight, and that was with a favorable wind. The man who built the machine, George de Bauthazat, was self-described as the world's greatest scientist and outstanding mathematician. George wrote one of the first scientific papers on aerodynamics of rotary wing flight, working entirely without any models or wind tunnels for testing. The helicopter's 6 big rotors were mounted on top of massive bridge-like girders braced with piano wire. It had 2 vertical propellers, which were called steering air screws, for lateral control, and its 2 additional 3-bladed propellers is mounted horizontally above the engine to provide airflow for cooling. The engine was a rotary aircraft engine called Le Rhône, which were not very powerful at only 130 horsepower, but they were very dependable. Although the invention was hailed by Thomas Edison as the first successful helicopter, full control of the aircraft in flight remained elusive, and the aircraft was scrapped. It would be over 20 years until an American helicopter would better the machine's performance. First successful helicopter, Focke-Wulf FW-61. If you want to talk about which helicopter was the first successful helicopter, that would be the Focke-Wulf FW-61. It is considered the first practical and functional helicopter, which was flown in 1936. It was designed by Professor Henrik Focke during his earlier work on helicopters and autogyros. He built a free-flying model in 1934 that was propelled by a small 2-stroke engine, which brought the promise of success. This same helicopter is now on display in the Deutsches Museum in Munich. Using rotor technology licensed from the Sirva Autogyro Company, a single Bramo SH-14A 7-cylinder air-cooled radial piston engine drove 2 rotors which were set on tubular steel outriggers to the left and right of the fuselage. It was basically an airplane that had been turned into a helicopter. World War II then came and further models never left the drawing board. Eurocopter Mercedes-Benz EC-145. But helicopters have come a long way since then, especially if you take a look at something like the Eurocopter EC-145 made by Mercedes-Benz. This helicopter can have its interior transformed and tailored for high-end corporate executive and private operations. It made its world debut in the year 2011 at the European Business Aviation Convention and Exhibition in Geneva. It is a twin turbomeca Ariel 2E engine aircraft that can carry up to 9 passengers and 2 crew. Not only can this helicopter be decked out in any way for the discerning company CEO, but it has also been used in the military for training, logistics, medical evacuation, reconnaissance, light attack, and troop transport operations. If you'd like to own one of these machines, be ready to write out a check for $6.5 million. Augusta Westland AW609. The Augusta Westland AW609 reminds us a little of that helicopter that Henrik Focke put together. Is it a plane? Is it a helicopter? No, it's both. This aircraft is a twin-engined tilt-rotor VTOL aircraft, which is similar to the Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey. It can perform vertical landings where a conventional aircraft cannot. This allows the aircraft to go almost anywhere and land in almost any place. The AW609 is powered by a pair of Pratt & Whitney Canada PT6C 67A turboshaft engines. It has all the cool stuff inside that a pilot could want, including a triple redundant digital fly-by-wire flight control system, a head-up display system, and full authority digital engine controls. The cockpit was designed so that you only need one pilot to fly. It's a really nice plane, but the $24 million price tag is a little steep for most of us. Mil Me-26, biggest, heaviest production helicopter. When it comes to the biggest production helicopter, you won't find anything bigger than the Mi-26. This Russian helicopter is a serious workhorse, and the photos don't do it justice when it comes to trying to actually figure out how big this thing is. In fact, it's so big that some people wonder how it even gets off the ground. It was during the Cold War in the 1970s that the Soviet Union decided that it needed a faster and more powerful helicopter. They also needed something to take strategic assets anywhere in the country at a moment's notice. So, how big is it? Well, the helicopter was specifically designed to be able to carry amphibious armored personnel carriers from one area of the country to the other. It's able to do this because of its powerful engines and huge rotors. In fact, the helicopter tail rotor is just as big as a standard private helicopter primary rotor. It can carry two 1-ton military vehicles at the same time, or transport 80 troops. It's so big it can even pick up a commercial airliner and fly them wherever is needed. The helicopter holds the record for the heaviest load ever lifted over 6,500 feet. Soviet Union wanted to show off, so in 1982 they loaded the helicopter with 125,000 pounds of gear. Amazingly, and with all engines screaming and working their hardest, the helicopter was able to lift the load. Mi-12, biggest helicopter of all time, prototype. Before the Mi-26 came out, there was another helicopter out there that is known as the heaviest helicopter ever built in the world. The Mi-12 was a super helicopter project which began back in 1959. It was another plain helicopter design. On August 6, 1969, a Mi-12 lifted a cargo at 97,455 pounds, 44,205 kilograms, to a height of 7,400 feet, or 2,255 meters, setting a world record for carrying helicopters. The interesting thing is that the military had no use for such capacity at the time, and development was discontinued. By the way, in April 2009, the media reported that an American company called Hotelicopter turned one of these things into a 4-story hotel helicopter with 18 rooms. Yeah, it's that big. Eurocopter X3. Moving on to the fastest helicopters, we take a look at the Eurocopter X3, which is currently an experimental high-speed compound helicopter, and it's fast. During testing, the aircraft demonstrated a rate of climb of 5,500 feet per minute and high G turn rates of 2 Gs at 210 knots. It gets its power from two Rolls-Royce Turbo Mecha turboshaft engines, which put out 2,270 horsepower each. It has a maximum speed of 293 miles per hour, or 472 kilometers per hour. That's 255 knots at 10,000 feet with a 5,500 foot a minute climbing speed. Now that's definitely quick. Future fastest helicopter on Earth, Sikorsky's X2. But of course, when it comes to being the fastest, there's always someone or something out there faster. Sikorsky Aircraft Corporation decided in the 1970s that they wanted to build a really fast helicopter. The goal was to reach 300 miles per hour, or 480 kilometers per hour, without sacrificing the vehicle's other strengths. Now, more than 40 years later, their test helicopter, called the X2, fitted with an LH Tech T800 LHT-801 turboshaft engine, reached 270 miles per hour, or 435 kilometers per hour on August 27, 2008. The helicopter was retired, but the X2 technologies are being used on the very newest designs. SA-315 Llama, helicopter that set a world record for absolute altitude. Not all helicopters are designed the same, and the French Aerospatiale SA-315B Llama, or Cheetah, was developed to meet hot and high operational requirements of the Indian Air Force. And when we say high, we're not kidding. The Llama possesses an exceptionally high altitude ability, and on June 21, 1972, it established a helicopter absolute altitude record of 40,814 feet, 12,442 meters. Kellett Hughes XH-17. Arguably one of the more unusual designs, the Hughes XH-17 Flying Crane was a first helicopter project for Hughes Aircraft Company and had a two-bladed main rotor system with a huge diameter of 134 feet, or 41 meters. It still holds the world record for flying with the largest rotor system. It was supposed to be able to lift and carry 15 metric tons, but the machine proved too inefficient and cumbersome to mass produce. Sikorsky X-Wing. The Sikorsky S-72, also known as the X-Wing, was developed for NASA and the US Army. It's basically an airplane with a big Sikorsky S-61 four-wing main rotor, an S-61 roller gearbox, and a highly modified Sikorsky S-67 airframe. Unique among helicopters of its time, it had an emergency extraction system that, when activated, it fired explosive bolts that severed the main rotor blades, and escape panels would blow off the roof of the aircraft, and the crew would then escape by rockets. Basically, blow off the whole top of the aircraft so you can escape. Although it looked like a very promising concept, the program was canceled in 1988. Piasecki X-49. Also known as the Speed Hawk, this American four-bladed, twin-engined experimental high-speed compound helicopter is being developed by Piasecki Aircraft. If you'll notice, the X-49 has a much different tail rotor design than most conventional helicopters. It's the company's own proprietary system consisting of a vectored thrust-ducted propeller, VTDP design, and includes the addition of lifting wings. The Speedhawk name comes from applying X-49A compounding concepts to a production UH-60 Blackhawk, offering better performance, range, and increases in useful load. It's got a third engine, high forward swept wing concept, and several other performance features. Boeing AH-64E Apache Guardian. When it comes to attack helicopters, usually the first thing that comes to mind is the US attack chopper, the AH-64E Apache. This helicopter has gone through many incredible changes and improvements since its first delivery into the US Army in 2011. It is fitted with a mast-mounted antenna with updated longbow fire control radar. This chopper can carry and fire Hellfire 2 anti-tank guided missiles in fire and forget mode. It has one of the most advanced targeting systems in the world, which can also be used in tandem with ground-based units for target acquisition. The gunship is also fitted with a 30mm cannon, and the HUD is built into the gunner's helmet. Wherever the pilot is looking is the direction the gun will point. It should be worth to mention that Desert Storm's opening shots came from this attack chopper as they moved in ahead of tanks to take out Iraq's radar fence. Kamov Ka-52 Alligator. You really can't talk about attack helicopters without mentioning the Ka-52 Alligator. It is considered one of the most lethal helicopters in the world, and claims are that it has better anti-ship missiles and boasts similar armor and air-to-air capability. Also known as the Black Shark, is a single-seat Russian attack helicopter, and is used as a heavy scout. It is the world's first operational helicopter with a rescue ejection system. It has a high survivability rate and can carry several rockets, and is armed with a 30mm gun like the Apache. It can be fitted with a wide array of laser-guided missiles and anti-tank missiles as well. This helicopter has also seen battle in Russian Army's operations against separatists in the Chechen Republic during the Second Chechen War. On January 9, 2001, a single Ka-50, accompanied by a Mi-24, used S-8 unguided rockets to destroy a warehouse full of ammunition belonging to Chechen insurgents. MH-6 Little Bird, armed. So, remember the title? Bigger and more heavily armored aircraft offer a lot of perks when it comes to survivability, but they're not always ideal in certain situations. That's where the MH-6 Little Bird helicopter comes in. You might be familiar with the MH-6 Little Bird, as it's in some video games, and there's even a LEGO version available too. It features a vaguely insect-like design, and because it doesn't have all that heavy armor, it can travel at surprising speeds. In fact, it can reach speeds of up to 175 miles per hour, 281 kilometers per hour, with a range of 267 miles. And just because it's small doesn't mean it isn't packing some serious weapons. It's got a pair of miniguns, a couple of AGM-114 Hellfire guided missiles, an M230 chain gun, and 14 Hydra 70 rockets. We're talking about a lot of firepower in a small package that can get in some tight places real quick and cause the opposing army some serious damage. We hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know which one of these was your favorite. If you liked the video, then don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when a new video comes out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.